Meanwhile, the House Intelligence Committee voting to release the controversial memo which allegedly details surveillance abuses by the U.S. government. Of course, the left is doing its best, I should say, to discredit the memo. They're calling it a cover-up, and they're saying that this document poses a threat to our national security. Does it really? It's now in the hands of the president. He has 5 days to decide whether its content should become public. So will he release the memo? Joining me right now are the co-authors of Let Trump Be Trump, Corey Lewandowski and David Bossie, who know him very well, of course, from the campaign. So with this in mind, Let Trump Be Trump, should the president release it? Corey?
Look, I absolutely think he should. You know, this has been an administration that wants to see transparency. And if we have abuses in this document, which has been reported to have abuses from senior government officials, not only should they release a document, they need to hold those people accountable. Because if there has been an opportunity for government officials to take a FISA warrant on a false dossier and start spying on American citizens on U.S. soil, particularly American citizens who are involved in the election of a presidential candidate, there has to be accountability. Those people need to go to jail. Because who else did they spy on? Was it me, my family, anybody else in the campaign? I don't know, but the American people deserve the right to know.
They deserve the right to know. And gosh, I mean, if that's the case, David, that's some scary stuff.
First of all, we don't know what's in it, and we're going to find out. And whether we find out because the president lets the House release it after the 5-day period, or if the president and the Justice Department decide they would like to not do it for whatever their reasons are, the House can still release the document. They would just have to go into a closed, secret session of the House of Representatives and vote on it as a whole House. It takes 7 days to do that. But it is.
Would you want them to do that, though? I mean,
well, the whole House.
You know, they're supposed to be on the same team at some point, right? If the president's saying don't release it.
But this is all about politics. The Democrats are trying to make this about politics. So the House could say, you know what, we'll vote to release it. So there's options.
Okay.
And we're still, as the American people, we are going to see the content of this memo.
And what do you think it's going to reveal?
Well, look, I think there's a lot of, well, you know what, there's a lot of problems, in our premier law enforcement agency, right? The FBI, whether it was what Jim Comey did in leaking that information, or McCabe and the Strzok and Orr and these other agents, it's pervasive. It's a problem, but it's not the entire agency, and I care deeply about the FBI being rebuilt and getting these bad apples out, because America has always counted on the FBI, and it needs to count on it again in the future. We just need to have a little bit of time here to clean it up and get it back on the right track.
If Vladimir Putin did want to, mess with us, so to speak, he's succeeded. I mean, the fact that here we are right now talking about this, the fact that it seems as though you got this made-up dossier, but a guy who was employed by the Democrats that possibly, that's the big question, we don't know the answer to, possibly the FBI decided to issue FISA warrants as a result of, Corey, he has succeeded.
Well, he has succeeded. It's very disturbing when you think about this. What you want to make sure is the integrity of our election process has to be the most paramount thing that we have as a democracy. And if anybody, and I mean anybody, FBI agent or anybody else, mess with the integrity of our election system, then that person or people should go to jail for the rest of their lives. We are the greatest democracy in the world. We have the greatest form of government there is. We have to make sure that our democracy remains intact, which means not allowing foreign governments, not allowing foreign agents, or people from our own country to potentially impact the outcome of an election for illicit manners. If that did occur, there has to be accountability.
Absolutely. Turning to tonight, again, the title of your book is very fitting. Is the president going to be very much himself on stage tonight, or are we going to see a more restrained version?
I think, first of all, I love it when he gives these big speeches, whether it is in Davos or at the United Nations or at what wasn't the State of the Union, but his speech before Congress last year. He rises to the occasion. He is the greatest game time player I've ever seen in politics. He delivers unbelievably big speeches in a powerful way. And I think the American people are going to take away from this speech what's gone on in America over this last year, because the president needs to talk about the great successes we've had, but also lay out that vision of prosperity for all for the future.
What do you think, Corey?
Look, I think tonight's going to be a great night. Take the numbers today on the market aside. we're still up about 45, 48% since he's been elected. You look at the unemployment rate, specifically in the African-American community and the Hispanic community, the lowest they've ever been recorded. Home ownership, computer confidence, all through the roof. It's amazing what has been accomplished in 1 year. When you think back, 1 year ago, before the election, people were saying the markets will crash, we'll lose 50% value. And now people open up their 401k, and guess what? It's 45% increase.
It's a nice feeling.
That's what the American people care about, and that's what he's going to outline. That, plus what they've done to ISIS, decimating ISIS where they are to keep Americans safe, and think of the success that they've had in the courts and the deregulation that this government has done in the first year. There's a lot more to go.
He's gotten a lot done, and yes, lots more to go. So good to see you both. Congratulations on the book. Looking forward to tonight, everyone. It's marking a historic event for our nation and for our president, his very first State of the Union.